So excited to have everyone on for our last webinar of the season for 2024. This is now over 3.5 years of doing monthly webinars. And so I just want to start by thanking everyone for joining these every single month. We've had really amazing topics. We have incredible topics coming next year. I'm going to tease January's topic right now. SEO is sort of dying. If your organic leads are down, you're not alone. This is happening in the education space in every single industry. And we are going to be doing a webinar about that and what you can do to supplement all those leads you might be missing. Look for that in January. But let's talk about December. Let's talk about today. First of all, as you guys know, our chat is always open. Feel free to jump in the chat and share questions, share feedback, share compliments, all those things. Cory is my guest today. Welcome, Cory.
What's up, Jen?
Hi, Cory. Okay,
Hello.
so what I did what I did before our webinar was I got onto my LinkedIn DMs to see when we started talking, and it was in 2017. So I've known you for a while. Um, we would just we would check in with each other every like year or so. So share with everyone who you are.
Yeah, so I professionally might be Jen's number one fan. So I'm really happy and honored to be invited to participate with you all. My name's Cory. I'm based in Miami. I run a company called Stylez, and my entire life is based on helping beauty professionals be successful. So we work with a lot of brands, a lot of educators and influencers. Um, I worked with a lot of schools. Some of you might have seen me around or heard of Stylez or myself. And I don't know. That's really it. My background, like I've always been entrepreneurial. And so for the last decade, it's been to
Yeah,
help beauty pros. I was raised in a salon by my mother, who still today is running a salon. So it's like in my DNA. And so
awesome.
I'm here excited to talk about beauty.
Okay, cool. Tell us a little bit about the Styles app if you don't mind, because I think it's amazing.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So Styles has evolved over, like, we started as an education team in Europe who would like work for the brands and train the trainers and do all these cool things on stage and create recipes so that other people could see us step by step how to, we say, like, cook the food. That was like
Yes.
our first innovation, like we all love watching cooking shows, I think. And we'll watch like these great chefs make this stuff, and we all get hungry. And we're like, oh my God, I want to eat that. I want to cook that. Let's go. And then you get into the
Yeah.
kitchen, and it's like, wait, what were the ingredients? What was the order? What is the temperature? What are the steps? And we started by saying it's kind of the same for a lot of hair. Like, how do you go from step to step to get from the before to the after that the client is wanting or we're wanting to create on them? So that's how we started, was creating like hair recipes and videos. And so we threw those online,
Love it.
and now, like 10 years later, Styles is this robust platform that has commerce, has inspiration, has the recipes, has interviews, has a booking tool. And so in that, yeah, we get to work with all different people in the ecosystem. And the app changes like daily, weekly, as trends change. Like
Yeah.
when we started this, Instagram wasn't really popular yet. So like there's just always these.
I was just gonna say you were before your time there because again, like everything kind of went to video, but you guys had that foresight to know especially if you're a newer stylist or even a seasoned stylist and new hair color trends come out, new cuts come out, you can essentially bring up a photo and then it gives you the blueprint of how to do that and then a step-by-step video of how to achieve it. It's super
Yeah.
innovative,
Yeah.
really, really smart.
Yeah, thanks. I think, it kind of came from my co-founder who is a hairdresser and like top
Mm.
stylist. And guys, even the top stylists in the world, half of their clients sit in a chair and show them a picture of somebody else's hair they want, whether it's the
Mhm.
trend or a celebrity they want to look like.
Right.
And not everybody knows how to get from A to Z all the time. So anyway, that's kind of where it started. Yeah, video's obviously blown up. Now, There's so many more educators than there was 10 years ago. Everybody can
Yeah.
be a content creator. They can edit their own videos. They can share their education. Like that's one big difference I want to point out really quick. When we started this 10 years ago, as Instagram was starting or before it did, hairdressers and beauty professionals didn't share near as much as they do today. They were kind of protective, thinking like, oh, this is my secret. This is my hair.
They
This
were
is-
gatekeeping. They were like, if I give away the secret, no one's going to come to me
Yeah,
anymore. Yeah.
exactly. And now it's changed, and everybody knows to share and to create is a way, like the world is so big, like there's
Hmm.
never opportunity. So the more you do, the more you give away, the more you get. So yeah, the industry, as everybody on this call knows,
Yeah.
changes all the time.
It does. Well, what I love about that is, and it's Styles with the Z. So style and then Z. It's the
Yeah.
Styles app. What I love about that is that, schools historically have not been that way. I've been in the school business for a while. I started at AACS. And I find schools actually don't gatekeep. It's one of the weird industries where it's like you'll be at a conference sitting directly next to your competitor and you'll be like, "Oh, this is how I was able to increase my conversion," or "What are you paying for your CPLs? This is what I'm paying." And I'm like, I remember going to my first conference and being like, do these people not care that they're competing? It really
Yeah.
is like a family, it's an industry. That's why even state associations. I was just talking this weekend with Anthony Civitano, who, used to be one of the founding members of the New York State Association of Beauty Schools. And they very much were like, this is how you do, like they would share things. And so
Yeah.
I love that about beauty schools. One of the bigger problems we're seeing in schools right now is retention. It is educator retention, it is student retention. And so we are going to pivot and we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the things that you guys have already done and then some of the things you're going to be doing in the future. And then of course give everyone some tips on what they can do on their own. Um, okay, so jumping into Kyle, that is my point about the moon. I'm not sure that is like my running joke because I don't think we landed on the moon. And I'm always like, I can't get internet in 2024, but like we landed on the moon, like get a life. Okay, so let's chat about what you guys have historically done with schools. You are a professional app, professional. This is for industry pros. But you guys, a few years ago, which I did not know Cory until Cory and I were on vacation at the same time. I was like on the other side of the world. I was in Budapest this summer, and Cory saw me on LinkedIn. He's like, "Wait, I'm here." So we met up, which was so wild with our
Yeah.
spouses. We had a great time. But that's when I really learned that you had already been live streaming into schools. So tell me a little bit about kind of how you got started with schools.
Yeah, we've always seen the biggest need for education, inspiration, and confidence is that bridge from when people step out of beauty school to they get a sustainable career in a salon. I'm not
Yeah.
saying day one. I'm talking about that first year or two before they make enough money, have a job, feel they have a foundation of clients, they know who they are, they know what they're doing, to where they don't quit and think of doing something else. And so for us with Styles, we've always felt in our hearts, and it was obvious to us mentally, that like being there to be part of that bridge and that foundation for new professionals was key. And so we had been to many school conferences and talked to people and worked with some schools. And then it was like sometime during the pandemic, Milady reached out to us and they wanted a bunch of texture hair content and they wanted us to like offer education to some of their partners. And in the end, we started streaming some live classes featuring like really professional, successful, well-known educators into schools. We did skincare, we did hair, we did barbering, we did some waxing, we did some coaching, some social media, all these different things. And that was amazing because we've always worked with pros, and that's bittersweet because the pros that are successful or busy are harder to engage with. When we're working with new pros or students, man, they are hungry. They show the like we all love to be loved. That's why people like dogs. You get home and that dog is happy to see you,
Right.
or kids love their parents. And it's like really fulfilling for us to work with students and new professionals because of the appreciation and the hunger they showed for what we were trying to share. So for us, it was like a really good learning experience and a good entry to recognize and prove that that core target is who we, especially bugs, is who we should really, really focus on.
Yes. Okay. And we're going to get into more about like what kind of classes you streamed and that sort of thing. But let's go ahead and pivot and talk to really quick about education because you are in the
Okay.
professional space, especially your app. What kind of things are being taught, in the professional world that is just that schools are lacking? I mean, a lot of schools are teaching to state board. They say they go beyond state board. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people on this call to hear, but I'm sorry that you are not teaching much more than state board in the way of a lot of the training these kids are going to get is on the job. So what kind of things are you seeing, even new trends that are being taught in the professional world that schools are lacking
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. Well, I want to say I went to university for business
Hmm.
and didn't really utilize many of those things I learned. All it did was kind of set me up to then learn as a professional what I need to do. And I think
Sure.
that's similar across all trades and education. And I think beauty schools, it's not that they're lacking anything, it's that beauty schools are set up to position new professionals to have a foundation of which they can create their own career. And this is something that students and new pros need to know is that when you graduate, it's like day one of your lifelong learning. And so,
I love that you said that. It is school is the foundation. It's like not the end all be all. It's
yeah,
not like you go to school and now you can just like run your own salon. It's the foundation. It's that starting point, the jump point
yeah,
before you do anything else.
100%. And especially in beauty, products change,
Yeah.
techniques change, trends change, technology changes, the customers always change. And so it's a
Mhm.
lifelong learning. So people need, like, that's the thing about fashion and beauty. It's in cycles, it's in seasons. And so people, I think, are naturally going to, they're naturally open to that. But so that's the thing that professionals need to know ahead of time. When they enter the profession, it's day one. They need to look at that as a couple years of going from here to there. And when they get from here to there and have a sustainable career, that's their opportunity to then decide, okay, do I want to own a business? Do I want to be independent at some point in my future? Do I want to work with a brand? Would I rather work editorial and, in the local news station? Like just need to get a job, get their hands and feet wet to take
Yeah.
0 to 1. And so there's different things to teach to get there. Um, so when it's about what should people learn extra, I think it's learning those applicable stories from existing professionals that are successful. And say, okay, you've been working for 12 years, you're well known, you have this massive audience, you work for these brands. What did you do when you were me in school? What were you thinking? What was your expectation? And then what took what did it take for you to go from there to where you are now? And I think
I
that's
think that's so great because what's happening is we have educators who maybe have little to no experience outside of, the classroom. Maybe they did a couple years behind the chair. Now they're teaching some students. And how well are you prepared? Like we know everyone comes in and says, I want to own my own salon. How well are you actually preparing these kids for that? And are you bringing in phenomenal, well-established owners who are telling your students, guess what? You're not ready.
hmm,
Go to work. Like, is that the narrative happening in schools today? Because that's the narrative we need. They're not ready to be suite owners.
yeah. I mean, that's powerful. So to run a suite or operate a salon, a full salon where there's other stylists, obviously two different things, but it's very similar.
Mhm.
Personally, I run a business, but just to be honest, I'm not good at details. So if I'm that independent barber or stylist, I'm telling you, my bookkeeping is getting backed up. I'm going to make huge mistakes. I'm not going to do those things that are going to empower me to be successful and focus on my clients. Just a fact.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of what I've accomplished. And so if I was 19 and entering, but I think that's something people need to understand. There is a core foundational skill of technical ability, no matter what people are doing in beauty. And
Mhm.
then core foundation of marketing and business knowledge if they want
Mhm.
to be an independent or run a salon. And those need to be ingrained into people, I think, from day one.
Yeah, I agree with you. So when it comes to bringing in, let's say, an outside educator, which today we're going to be talking about bringing in influencers. And influencers in many aspects. Maybe you're an influencer because you're making money online. Maybe you're an influencer because you have 50,000 or 200,000 followers. Obviously, it can vary from micro to huge influencer.
Yeah.
Regardless, how important as a beauty school student is it to hear from other voices other than just those educators, or maybe when Wella just, sends someone into the
Yeah.
school?
I think it's the most important. I think in society, we all look to people who have an impression on us and that we trust and want to emulate. Those people are really powerful. My nieces and nephews, I mean, they're wearing jerseys of people they look up to. And in
Mhm.
in business, it's the same thing. In beauty, it's the same thing. So a lot of the classes we've done or the interviews I've given to, well-known successful beauty professionals, the knowledge they have goes way further than the technical knowledge that we can give them of like how to hold a scissor, for example. Because
Mhm.
we all know mindset is more powerful and expectation management is more powerful than almost anything. And so I think that's what having influencers who've been there and done that, that's what they can share with people, not only to like guide them of what should do, but primarily tell them what not to do. Listen, that is not the path for you. Trust me. I made it. It cost me 5 years. This is the path for 2025. Like these things
Yeah.
that carry weight when that person's been there.
So in when you were doing these classes with Milady, you were streaming into classrooms. When was it? Like Mondays at 2 Eastern? Is that what it was? Something like that?
We did some Mondays. We often did them Wednesdays.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, I think like we would have to match up, the artists, the brands, the schools.
Yep.
It
And
varied.
then
Yeah.
what kind of thing, like, can you explain to everyone kind of like what that looked like over the years you did it? Like what, as far as like, because you said that people, like kids would jump on the live chat within the class, or what kind of topics were you guys covering and how was that streamed into classrooms?
Yeah. First, it was amazing. We'd have hundreds and hundreds of schools on each one of these, and they were usually 60 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on the topic or what we were doing. We covered everything from extensions to social media to personal branding to opening a salon to barbering to, like I said, skincare and waxing. So a variety of different things. Um, and we would often do it. Most of them were streamed from our studio. We have a production studio in Miami where we make a lot of our content. So often we'd fly the educators in, set up our cameras, and live stream in like a full production studio. So it's really high quality, two or three camera people to get close up so people can see what they're doing. But then sometimes it was more informational like this, where we talked to, say, two celebrity stylists in LA, and they would give their experience of, again, what did they do on day one, day two, day 50 to become
Mhm.
professional? And those were just done, basically similar to doing Zoom calls. And yeah, we'd always have the chat. So students, teachers could chime in with questions and comments and concerns so that we could make it really engaging for everybody.
I like it. Okay, great. And
It
then
was fun. Listen, it
tell
was
me,
fun
tell us
for
about
us.
the engaging. Because I love the screen comments. Like of course it was fun. They're inspiring new people instead of
Yeah,
stuck up pros that think they know everything.
yeah,
If I'm honest with you. Like
yeah,
students are like hungry to learn from Chris Appleton, who did Kim Kardashian's blonde hair,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That's meaningful. Yeah, to these people
That
who are
is
doing the trend,
memorable.
to see the people that are doing the trends we see and work for the big brands that everybody admires, I mean, it carries weight.
Yeah, I think so too. And I just think, y'all know I do a lot of admissions training and I'm the marketing girl. How cool would that be to sit in admissions and tell these kids, like those
Yeah.
influencers, which by the way, this is one of the top reasons today why people are choosing beauty. It's not just because they've been wanting to do it since they were a little girl. It's because they want to be influencers. One of the top reasons people are choosing beauty school.
Mhm.
How cool would it be though to sit across from a kid and be like, oh my gosh, we just had three influencers this past month who lied
Mhm.
to our classroom with millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, I just think from a marketing perspective for a school, this is what would help sell it, other than the same three teachers that they see every single day. This is just something to inspire people. So let's chat about influencers a little bit. Cory, you've been in the industry a long
Mhm.
time. Influencers is new. That is not a term that was out when I was in college. When did you see this shift of beauty pros becoming influencers?
I gotta tell you, just full disclosure, it was something that took us a couple years to embrace.
Okay.
The educational foundation of our company started with European hairdressers, and they are late to accept influencers. And we're like, the education should come from educators, not influencers. So that was our first reaction. Um, but listen, things change, things evolve, and you got to follow the market. And
Hmm.
the world has changed. And so it took us a couple years, and then we recognized instead of just using the best educator in the world, let's use great influencers that people want to learn from. And that drastically changed our business and changed my life because people were all emotional creatures with different perspective and different goals. And people adhere and look up to different people based on subconscious elements for which we're not familiar. And so if
Hmm.
people love to learn and hear and listen to this person, I mean, don't question them. And so honestly, that was probably 6 years ago. That's when we started shooting videos in Miami with primarily US based influencers and educators.
Okay.
And I would say, to be fair, there is a difference between an influencer and an educator. But every year that gets more and more overlapping as customer or as like the market expectations increase. So it's
Hmm.
becoming where the influencers are also good educators, but there was kind of split for a long time. And
Well, that is what influencing is, by the way, today. It's not
it
people
is.
bragging. It's
Yeah.
not people just with video in that, or sorry, a song in the background, just being like, look at me.
Yeah.
You are an influencer because you educate, even
Yeah.
if it is just like, this is how I did this style, or get ready with me while I do my makeup. You're teaching people how
Yeah.
to do, like, influencers are educators.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes naturally, it comes so naturally to
Yeah.
them. And
Yeah.
so let's chat about how professionals today are utilizing social media to just absolutely soar in their careers. And by the way, I think beauty schools are doing a really crappy job at teaching it. Like they're like, this is how you make an Instagram profile. You don't think these kids have had Instagram since they were 12? Like, you're not teaching them anything exciting. That's not exciting. Teach them
Mhm.
how to make money online. Teach them how to be an influencer. Teach them how
Mhm.
to grow their follower account to 50,000. Like, I think schools are doing a disservice today to every single student who is dying to become influencers and make money online, or even just grow their own brand for their own salon by using social media. They're teaching them basic. This is how you take a photo. You don't think these kids know how to take a photo, y'all?
Yeah.
Like, that is basic. We need to
Yeah.
level it up. So let's
Yeah.
chat about what you have seen as far as evolution of social media today.
Yeah, so it has evolved where influencers are also
What do you think?
educators because that's how they get their following is by showing themselves and doing things. It's not just dancing, thankfully. It's really improved and I'm bullish on it, especially for the
Right.
future. It's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. People, if they don't have a brand and they're not already making six figures, are screwed. In the future, The personal brand building, again, I said at the beginning, unfortunately, is more important than the technical element because that is what is
Yeah.
changing in the world. There are people today doing multiple six figures doing hair who don't focus on social media because they already found their foundation as a professional before that started. But going forward, people need to know how to
Mhm.
share their content, create content, and build their personal brand because that's how they get credibility to get clients. That's it.
Yes.
It's
You know what's
the
funny that you
most
said
important.
about that? It is Jonathan Van Ness, who I love. I follow him on Instagram. You guys might know him from Queer Eye. He's the guy who does like the hair and makeup on Queer Eye on Netflix, and he is a huge social media star. He just became a hairdresser like a couple years before that show came out.
What? Yeah.
He did not grow up in this. In
Yeah.
fact, if you watch the show, like 80% of the time, he's actually not even doing the hair. He's the personality.
Yeah.
And then he'll go to a local hair spot and someone else will do the hair. And I just that's really when I saw that this industry is shifting.
Mhm.
You don't maybe necessarily have to be amazing technically. You can have a giant career. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars and maybe not be the best color stylist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're just really, really good online.
Mhm.
Kyle, thank you for your comment. The biggest obstacle we have is that educators aren't participants in social media and influencer culture. Correct.
Mhm.
That is the biggest problem. And that's what's happening in beauty schools today. So hear me when I say I don't think it's up to you to hire these people. I think you keep your educators that you can, there is an educator crisis, retain them, pay them well, keep them in there, teach them to state board, teach them their technical skills. But I think schools need to get with Cory and need to get with influencers, and they need to bring in outside people for 1 hour a week to
Yeah.
inspire these kids.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Cory? Go hire an influencer. You can't have something like that on your payroll full
Well,
time.
it's very challenging. It depends where the school is and which people are in your community. But
Mhm.
figure it out what that opportunity is because it's worth its weight in gold. We've all been in the position where you have a dream professionally for something, but you have 1,000 steps to get there, and most people don't get it. They quit
Yeah.
before they get there, you know? And that's one of the challenges with keeping in all schools the students entertained and engaged is keeping their inspiration up to know that the end goal is worth that daily, monotonous, mundane learning and tasks they have to do. So having
Mhm.
influencers, having local educators, having ambassadors engage with your students, engage with your schools, keeps that fire under your students, keeps them excited,
Yeah.
knowing there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Pretty soon I could be doing that. Here's a story she shared that she went through. Like constantly reinforce that in them because there's something that inspired them to sign and start going to your school in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like a relationship, you have to keep it engaged. It doesn't just end once the person signs there. So I think it's really important. There's a variety of ways to, and this could be a long conversation, so I won't go off on it alone, a variety of ways to engage with people to come in, educate, entertain, and inspire your students.
The first place you should always start is your alum. That's the first
Mm,
place you
great
start.
idea.
Who
Yeah.
went to my school that is killing it online? Who went to my school that's making money online, that's making money on TikTok, that has a good following? The very first place I would go is to the alum. And maybe they would just come back just because they graduated from there and they want to give back. And maybe you don't have to pay them anything.
Yep.
Um, but that is the very first place I would start. How else, Cory? Gosh, we don't all have your Rolodex. Um, how Rolodex? Look at me being old. How are
Yeah.
these schools supposed to be connecting with influencers, sending blind DMs? Like, let's chat about how they can get some of these people in their schools.
First, I never expected to have a Rolodex like I do. Again, we like pushed this off at the beginning, but thankfully, through Styles and Hair Color Bible and Barbering Bible and other things I've done, I've been able to shoot, interview, and work with, hundreds of beauty professionals, educators, and influencers, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So, here's what schools should do. Here's what schools can do. It's highly dependent on where you are. If you're in New York City, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Houston, there's going to be a variety of educators, influencers in your community that could possibly come by. Because one of the things is if you fly somebody in from another place, cost goes through the roof. Influencers and educators charge high day rates in the thousands of dollars, and they charge you for travel time too, usually half of what their day rate is. So it
Oh,
can
wow.
be very, very expensive. If people are local, I think you can play the emotional card to get them in and give back because a lot of people do want to give back because what I said at the beginning is true. They've all been in that beauty school chair and they know what the people are going through. That's why it's powerful. So
Mhm.
sometimes you can play a little bit on the emotional element. One of the biggest challenges is getting them to know you exist, meaning DMs aren't going to work. Tagging them probably isn't going to work. These people, if you want them, it means there's 3,000 other people who want them to use a hairspray, use a lipstick, put on a shirt, whatever it is for influence. And so they're inundated with messages. They're
Mhm.
not going to check private DMs from people that they're not following. So that's a huge, huge challenge that I can't say I have a solution to overcome.
Cory, we almost need to talk about that for a minute. I mean, I'm not a giant influencer. I have like a little over 50,000 followers on TikTok. I
Okay.
average 230 DMs a day from companies and people. That's my
What?
average. Yeah. And those are people that want to work with me, want to send me free stuff, want to send me products and to review, or just regular people who are like, hey, can I be your sugar daddy? Which I think is a bot. But I get about 230,
I don't get any of those. Those aren't.
and I respond to zero. I don't care who it is. That's not how you get a hold of me. So I feel like if you are a top educator, if you're the Michaela of TikTok who has millions of followers for makeup, and you come up with an inspired post to DM her, she's not reading it, you guys.
Yeah.
They're not. And I hate it for you. And I wish they were more accessible, but that's not going to be the best way. It's usually a word of mouth. I know somebody who can get someone in your school. Let's talk about payment. What did you say the average influencer charges to come talk to a school?
Well, there's a drastic price difference. Let's
Okay.
be fair. There are some local educators who have a small following, might work for a national brand, and they do local classes and salons for people who buy their product.
Mhm.
You can reach out to those people. They're going to charge you 500, $1,000 a day because they have to prepare, they have to change their life, they have to not do their clients, they got to come in. So they want to get compensated for that. That's good for your students, and you should do that. Don't overlook that. But the 300 influencers that kind of run the industry and have the energy, most of them are going to have, 1,500 to $4,000 a day rate. It's very
Yeah.
expensive because they're in demand. They can charge clients a lot of money. If they have to travel, that's a huge inconvenience for them. So it can be very expensive. Again, you can add some emotion and say give back and knock a little bit off of that, but it's going to be thousands of dollars to have somebody come in, and it's worth it.
Mhm.
That person, those people are going to change the energy in your school. They're
Yeah.
going to change the inspiration that your students and your teachers are feeling. Fact.
Well, and now your teachers, by the way, are learning something new. You're giving them free education. And you're not expecting your teachers to hurry up and go download TikTok and figure out how to make what's the latest TikTok dance. You're not like someone had said in the comments, oh, our teachers aren't doing this. Well, don't expect them to. This is not in their wheelhouse. This is not why they were hired. And so I'm not sure it's fair to expect your educators to keep up with those trends let them worry about technical skills. Someone had put in the comments about addressing the culture of today's youth. As a school owner, we have a lot of students that really don't want to learn anything but fades. So I'm guessing that I don't know if this is a barbering school, but we bring in outside people to do things like blowouts or other services, and they're not interested. Yeah, that doesn't, they don't want to learn that.
Yeah.
They they want to learn how do I make $10,000 a month on TikTok? That's what they want to
Yep.
learn.
Yep. Or how
It
can I
is.
make $10,000 a month? Like, yeah, what
Just
is that?
period. Yeah.
What is that hack? What is it going to take? Because that's real money.
Yeah. Or what are the three mistakes I made when I graduated beauty school?
Oh
What were the
man.
five that got me to success? And that is what your influencers do when you did these live stream classes that I love. And Cory and I talked at length about this. First of all, made it a point to tell the influencers when you're talking to beauty school students, we are being realistic and we are letting them know I did not get here overnight and that you aren't going to get here overnight and that you likely can't own a salon right when you graduate. Like you're probably better off, yay, job placement. You're better off going to work for someone, getting that W-2, right? That's what we want, schools. Let's get them working. And then they can pivot to something like this. But they're not going to listen to you. They're not going, guys, when your educators tell them this, it's like when the mom and dad tells them that you should wear a jacket outside. You know what I mean? Like they're not listening to you because you're the mom and dad. But if you have the cool aunt that comes over that's like, "Ooh, it's cold out there. Put on a coat." Yeah, they're gonna grab the coat.
Yeah.
Like you need those sometimes those outside voices. That happens with me with admissions training, by the way. Every time I do an admissions training, every time the director of admissions will come up to me and be like, "I've been trying to tell these people." I was like, they just needed an outside voice.
Yep.
They just needed someone else coming in to reiterate this for you.
That's natural. That's the human condition. We want to hear it from somebody else. It's just how it is. I don't know why.
Yes.
I
Yes.
got to tell you though, this is not BS. This is organic. When I interview these people, I'm not talking about showing to schools or anything, just interviewing and talking to stylists. One of the things I always ask, if you could start over, what would you do and what would you not do? And I'm telling you to a T, every one of them is going to say, they're going to tell your students, apprentice, get a job, work for free if you have to. Just learn from somebody for 1 to 2 years, because in that period, you're going to start and go so much further than if you just go off on your own and try and learn by yourself. Like it's the most powerful thing that they can say because they've all been there. Some of them took that path. Some of them are lucky and they were in Los Angeles and went to some famous person's salon and, washed hair and swept the floor and folded towels for 4 years. And they know that's the best thing. Some of them didn't have that opportunity. Said, "Oh my God, it took me 10 years before I knew what I was doing. I wish I would have done that." And so to have these powerful, successful people share that story, it's better than, yeah, mama saying it for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we said this webinar was for retention with educators and students. Let's talk about that. And then I want to get into your new program that you're launching for schools to solve this problem for a lot cheaper than $4,000 a month. I'll tell you that, to bring in an outside educator. Okay, let's talk about the educator problem right now. This is a growing trend across schools.
Okay.
If you are struggling to get educators, you are not alone. Um, I have my personal reasons why this is happening. Cory, why do you think this is happening?
The world has changed, and I think that people's expectation of what work is has changed. And I think the beauty school to successful professional bridge is fraught with challenges. And I just think people know that. I think that has
Mhm.
put such a burden of pressure onto teachers that it's very uninspiring to have to try and solve that problem alone. And then the people who are really good, who can come in and they have inspiration, talent, and success to share, would rather just keep doing something else where they can make more money. So it's really a challenge that's hard to solve. and I'm not sure I have the reason or a solution.
Yeah, I mean, high level schools aren't paying educators enough. They're not. CUNY just did a study on that. They just released it. You're not paying them enough. That's one thing. But I think, and Robert, hang with us because we got good stuff coming. Don't be depressed. I think you're right. I think the world has changed and we're expecting them to do things that are not in their wheelhouse. Seriously, it's not in their wheelhouse. Um, I just was on a call today with one of our agency clients and they're like, "Oh, we just hired the social media coordinator." And I got so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what you need. Get in the schools." And they said, "This social media coordinator is going to be able to ask all the educators at all the other schools for content." I'm like, "Oh God, that's just going to piss off your educators."
Mhm.
That is, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Let the social media girl go. That is not in their wheelhouse. Let them be good at what they're good at. And then bring in a social media coordinator to do the TikToks. Don't expect your educators to do that.
Mhm.
They don't know how to do that. Y'all already said that in the chat. They don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And if they're getting offers from other schools for more money, or they're going to go over here and they're not going to be expected to do that, that's why they're going to be, and that's why there's a student retention problem. This is all intertwined, right? Like you have a new educator every day. School kids aren't showing up because they're uninspired. You can say it's because of, yeah, the family stuff, whatever. A lot of that is a lie. It is. Like I'm
Mhm.
going to come up with every excuse in the world to not hang out with certain people. And so that is how what your students are doing. If they are in, if you knew on Mondays at 2 o'clock, you were going to have an outside giant influencer speak to you, you're showing up.
Mhm.
You are moving mountains to come to school. And
Mhm.
I think that's what schools can do. So, Cory, you already know this is a problem. How are you trying to solve it now? Now that you're not working with Milady, what is your company doing?
Well, I think everybody needs help in what they're in. Like students need help, school owners need help, directors need help, teachers need help. And I think having like sharing the burden with influencers, with educators, and other ways to learn and inspire is going to be good for teachers. Let them know they're not alone. Like let them, like Jen, like you're saying, let them focus on what they're good at and supplement it in other ways. And that's one
Yeah.
thing, like, bringing educators to the table for schools to see and learn from and engage with is just a way to like take the burden off the teacher. Because when the students are more inspired, that job's a little easier. It's like
Yeah.
swimming with clothes on. Otherwise, when it's like things can start having a domino effect and pull each other down. So I think addressing inspiration of students can really help make it easier for the ease for teachers.
Cory, also the teachers are going to get inspired. Like, what's funny is I created last year, as some of you guys might know, I created a course on how to make money on TikTok. I started making money myself on TikTok just so that I could teach it. That's the only reason I started doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought some hair serum that smelled like the anthropology candle and the volcano candle. And I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff smells amazing. Y'all should buy it. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I made a couple grand and I was like, that's easy. And then I started doing more of it. And then I was like, I need to teach beauty schools how to do this. What I found, and of course, I did this presentation, via Zoom, I did webinars on it, and I've even gone into schools and I've done this presentation. Yes, the students love it. First of all, they were in line to see me. The students loved it. They were inspired. The students loved the TikTok training.
Yeah.
The educators loved the TikTok training.
Yeah.
We think bringing in these outside people for our students, your educators are front row and center taking notes just as much as the students.
Yeah.
And that's going to keep them in your school. Now
Yeah.
you're teaching them something. They teach all day. Now they're
Yeah.
learning something.
I wanted to say that earlier when we were talking about bringing in outside educators into your school. It inspires the students, but it does the teacher too, because we all know that like sometimes you need to raise the level.
Yeah,
And it's not only they get inspired, but you also challenge them a little. And you're like, hey, we are efforting. We're putting in effort, investment, time, and money to raise the level in here. So, get on the train. So
Yeah.
it has those peripheral effects as well.
Yeah. Now we don't want you guys to go off on a negative note. Positively, like I think we all agree, if we can connect with some alum, if we can bring in some of these outside trainings, I think it's going to be helpful for your school from the retention aspect, educator wise, student wise. I told Cory, I was like, I would love to see a revolution in beauty school education. No one loves beauty schools more than me. If you go on
Wow.
LinkedIn, my headline is beauty schools are my jam. Like I love a beauty. It's funny, I didn't even go to beauty school, but I love beauty schools. I've been in the industry forever. No one loves it more than me. I'm so passionate. And I want to see a revolution. We need to change with the times. We need to start teaching TikTok. We need to start teaching business skills. We need to start
Yeah.
teaching how to make money online. We need to start saying the word influencer every single day in our halls. And Cory, that's why I'm partnering up with you today. I want you to share with everyone what you've been working on and the next phase of Stylez.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you just mentioned, the soft skills, all these things that help people get inspired and go from here to here as a new professional is our jam, right? So it's always been fun to talk with Jen about beauty. And there's 7 different times she said, I don't know anything about the pro side. No, it's because she's an expert in the school part. So it's real. I admire your focus and expertise. So no, we have something called Styles Next Gen. And it's not Gen, Jenn, it's next generation. So
Oh, I
that's
like
just,
that. You should rename it.
yeah, that's just the coincidence. Styles Next Gen. And it's basically bringing 3 live webinars to stream into schools on a monthly basis. So that sounds like a lot, and it is. But when we were doing it before with Milady, we were doing one a month. And that just dissipates in those other weeks and people would lose engagement and inspiration. So we've teamed up with a bunch of the educators we know, and we're doing 3 a month. And it's going to include business coaching, social media, soft skills, the technical for all hair, skin, beauty, lashes, nails, all of this, so that every month there's something for everybody. And it's paid either on a monthly by the school or an annual. So it's $700 a month to have access to all of that and the recordings, or it's discounted highly to $5,500 for the full year. So for us, it's
36 trainings a year. Did I do
36.
that right? Okay.
It is, yeah. 3 times 12 is it's 36 over a 12-month period, and it's expensive for us. The studio, the artists, the educators, the videography, the editing. So we have to charge. We always did these before from a lady for free, and I almost got fired by my investors. That was yeah, it was really challenging to do. So we're happy to do this at a massive scale now where the students and the teachers can count on
Mm.
outside influence, outside education, outside inspiration that is all connected to that world end case that everybody's trying to attain to. So that
I think
Styles
that's
Next Gen, we're really, really excited. It starts in January.
I mean, that's phenomenal. I love the idea. First of all, the price is great because you're talking 6 grand for a year to have 36 live stream classes from expensive influencers. That's what you would pay to bring in one influencer.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
getting, I mean, you're getting all that content. Um, what about the app? Thoughts on giving the app?
So
Oh,
the app is secondary. For us, the core is to bring in real, I can't say it very well, real world applicable content and information for students and teachers. Like that's the most important. But again, Styles
love
was built to be that bridge for pros, for new pros. And
yeah.
so every school who signs up can give a Styles account to their students near their graduation date. Because the idea is they should have that account. It's kind of like a cheat sheet in their pocket with hundreds of tutorials.
The recipes, yeah.
And it has a free booking tool, so they can use it for booking. And it's paid for them for like in the fee the school pays, it's paid for all the students at that school for 12
Mm.
months. So when they get out, they get it for free. They don't need to pay for a booking app. There's deals on products because a lot of people want to level up and get a new scissor or whatever it is when they start working. So yeah, that's included. We think that's a ton of value, but
That's a
it's
lot of
good
value.
too
So
because
just as someone graduates, they're going to have access to all your students are going to have access to that app for a year, which is a monthly fee or an annual fee for
yeah,
in
sorry, the Styles is a monthly fee. Yeah, we charge $40 a month for it.
$40 a month. Okay. And so they're
Yeah,
getting that for a year, all of your new grads, which I
yeah,
think is phenomenal. But the most important value to me is those influencers and you have the Rolodex. I love this because you're giving back to an industry. You want to help grow this industry. And I really think this is a hole. This is a hole that I personally don't see anyone filling. There might be that odd school out there in LA that's really good at
yeah,
connecting. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
bringing, they're right in Manhattan and they know some people. But the average school in Oklahoma, or just, we're at New Jersey is not doing this.
yeah.
And I think that this does fill that hole for education. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Okay, so if
Yeah.
people want to, what are the next steps? Can people email you or how can they find out?
Yeah, we have a website. I don't know, Jen, like if I share, like, can you send it to everybody who
Yep,
came on today?
yep. I can do
Yeah.
that. We can put that in a follow-up email.
Yeah, we can do that. And like just reach out to us, let us know. We're limiting it to our start to 30 schools in January, just because we want
Okay.
to get a core and kick it off. And then in Q2, we'll add more schools. So if it's something you guys are interested in, respond to I guess Jen, you can send the link
We'll send
in.
out an email and then they can
Yeah.
do that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. This is exciting. Does anyone have any questions? We have a couple minutes left.
Can I just say
You can
something real
pop.
quick? I want to just interrupt everyone, even if you guys don't work and don't want to do the Styles Next Gen thing, it's okay. Do everything you can to bring in outside educators to inspire and help students see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you can do this on your own without having, to pay Styles or yeah, do it on your own.
Yeah.
I also love that we did talk about other people agreed in the chat of the educator problem right now. One is pay, but two is we are expecting them to do things that it's just not in their wheelhouse, you guys. And unless you're training them how to do it, I just don't think we can expect the average cosmetology teacher to teach TikTok,
Mm. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's
Um,
one thing we're
but
able to do is
thank you
bring
all.
in. No, I
Yeah,
say like
bring in some
bring
outs.
these people, the people who are the best colorists in the world have the following and have these insights and these little hacks that like can change the game for a future colorist. And same for people who want to learn about TikTok or Instagram or whatever the next platform is. Like having those people can really change how your students see their future. So it's very, very exciting. We're really excited for it, Jen, and thanks for having me on.
You are welcome. Before we go, I'm gonna put Corey's email right here in the chat for you all. So if you want to reach out to him personally, do that.
Yeah, feel free
Corey,
to.
pleasure having you on.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for talking to our beauty school community. This was fun. And then maybe you can introduce me to some of your professional community. I am not, connected in that area. So would love to get more involved with you guys. Also, good news. I'm going to be teaching some TikTok classes if it doesn't shut down on the on the Stylez Next Gen series as well. So that'll be good. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all so much and have a great year. Kyle, you can follow me. You just asked how you find me. Don't find me on TikTok. There's some things I probably shouldn't be doing on there, but it's my name. It's been
Selling hair
wild.
oils.
Yeah, hair oils, mostly clothes.
Yeah.
Nice to have you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.